You just get better.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. And if you see who's joining me today, she's returning here after our last chat, which was 2 years ago. She's a living legend, as I said in the first intro, and she is the wonderful and lovely Miss Melina. How are you?
I'm doing good. And saying hi to everybody.
Well, this is actually real full circle here because a couple months ago, I didn't know this, but our birthdays are actually only a couple days apart, so that makes us fellow Pisces.
That's right.
Mhm. Are you
I
the
love it.
ninth? You're the ninth? Yeah, I'm the
Yes,
seventh. So
that's right. And these are the best times of year, people. No,
no, yeah, it really is.
yeah.
If you know anything about Pisces, our birthdays they're not a week, they're not a day, they are an entire month. So
Yeah, it's actually more than a month because I feel like not only do we do the entire month, we're like all of March, and the Pisces from February, are like all of February, but we also extend it to the beginning of the season, all the way through the end
yep.
of our own or the
hmm
beginning.
What
I've
what
met
is
a
it?
lot of people like that. I'm like, I'll celebrate a birthday, we're eating, and I'm like, yeah, my birthday's in 2 days, or today's my birthday. And then somebody else in the restaurant or wherever we're at, they're like, what? Your birthday's today? My birthday's today too, or my birthday was yesterday, or my birthday's in 2 weeks. Like Pisces will find each other. The
Yeah.
fish will find each other.
What does a typical birthday celebration look like for you? Do you you do
It's
anything?
different all the time.
Mm.
Different.
What
And
was
that's what
this
I
year?
always told everybody. Like every time somebody asks for like a birthday wish or anything like that for on Cameo, I always told them whatever your birthday, whatever you want, you do. If you don't feel like doing something that day, don't do it. That's your birthday wish to relax. And
Yeah.
if you want to do something big, you go do it. You don't have to wait for somebody. You do what you want. It's your birthday to celebrate you, everything you've been through up until this point in time because life is hard, and the fact
hmm
that we live as long as we do, no matter what your age, it's like it's celebration that you didn't get sick, that you didn't give up, that you went through something difficult, and today's your day. And
hmm
that's why I celebrate birthdays more so now. I never did before. I was like, oh no, it's okay,
Wow,
don't
that's
get
so.
me anything, we'll celebrate you. Like I was just never wanted to do anything for myself because I cared about everybody else
Mhm.
more until I
That
realized, oh no.
that feels like an inverse because I feel like a lot of people, um, when they grow, like I feel like each passing year, I've typically found that people tend to celebrate their birthdays less than like the younger birthdays from the past. So it's different for you in that case. You're saying the inverse.
Yeah, my younger self was like, no, it's like I didn't want the attention. I was like, no, no. And I think maybe the older I get, maybe there's less attention. No, there's more. Like everybody's just so sweet. Like online, thank goodness, knock on wood. But when I was younger, I don't know why I didn't want things to be about me. I wanted to celebrate everybody. And I still want to celebrate everybody all the time now. But now I think I am letting myself because I think if I do anything for me, I'm being selfish or I'm being very inconsiderate. I
hmm
had that in the back of my head that no, I can't, like, I don't want attention. Everything has to be about everybody else. And now I realized I was hurting myself in the process of making myself smaller and smaller and smaller.
hmm
Plus, adulthood being and wrestling being the way it was, I really made myself so much more. I gave myself more pain than I should have.
hmm
And I realized, no, I need to heal. I need to celebrate and honor myself. Like, I know I'm not a bad person. I know I never did, everything that I did was never in with like malicious or had ill intent. Everything I did was because I loved people and I just need to realize how it affects others, whatever it is I do. But it's okay to do something for yourself. It's
hmm
okay to buy something for yourself, to celebrate your birthday, to not punish yourself over whatever it is that we punish ourselves over.
hmm
So my birthday's I'm gonna celebrate it till I'm 92.
There you go. That's how it should be done. I don't think I'll ever grow out of celebrating my birthday. As long
No. I'm like, damn, I'm still here. It's a
yeah.
miracle.
I find that interesting though about how you said your younger self, you tend to not, you didn't want to draw the attention to yourself, which is ironic given the fact that the character you were playing on screen was like this, you know, luxurious, extravagant, like the paparazzi, the whole red carpet entrance. When it came to lights, camera, action, and stepping in front of those audiences, how did you kind of compartmentalize that to step into that persona?
Oh
Like,
my
was
goodness.
that a difficult adjustment for you when stepping out through that curtain?
It's so odd because if it's a smaller venue, I don't know. I think in wrestling, because now that I think about it, in the indies, it wasn't. It was still easy to turn into the character. Not that I was the Melina character in WWE in the indies. I was always the baby face. First
Mm,
time being a heel was WWE
yeah.
because everyone said you're so sweet and so smiley and cute that you can never be a heel, never be a heel. So even in the indies, it was I didn't have that fear because I did have social anxiety and I did
Mhm.
have like I introverted and everything. But for some reason, wrestling, I was able to do it. And I think the key for me was I never paid attention to the crowd really. Like I could hear them, but and that's what you need to do. You need to hear them, but I wouldn't look at individual faces. I saw a
Mm,
blur
yeah.
because it was really hard to see one individual face. The smaller the group, the more kind of anxious I got. So OVW, when we did training in front of them, training was worse, shows were better because I didn't
It's
know
just bigger.
anybody,
Yeah.
and so it was easier to blur. Training, it's like you could hear that one person specifically talking to you, like "ah, ha ha" or something. But and then that kind of messes you up. But when it came to WWE, it was easier to just be it because the people went along with it, and you could just the faces all kind of blurred with little, the outlines of heads instead
Mhm.
of specific faces. So it was easier to do the character then. For thank goodness.
Yeah. Well, because when you're stepping out in front of those big audiences, it's here. Like you're already there. The show's starting. Whereas I feel like in OVW, when you're performing in front of those smaller sections of people, you're under more of a microscope because at that point you're OVW still trying to break your foot into the industry. So there's a lot more of, I guess, a, a microscope on you to want to be better because you have people analyzing your moves who have
Yeah.
been in the business. So and that's funny too because someone who is down in OVW actually, and this individual has, he's not going to sugarcoat things, and he actually has said great things about you over the years. So I was curious about this perspective as well. Jim Cornette, he's somebody who, is not afraid to voice his opinion, and he was the one who coined you with the nickname Living Legend, and I've heard him on numerous occasions say great things about you. What was that like when it pertains to Jim Cornette and working down there with him?
It's an honor because he's a person who's a creative genius. So I know people will say that they they could say that, oh no, blah blah blah, and not like him. And everybody has their opinion, and that's great. But you can't, or I can't. I will not. You can't say anything when it comes to what he's created and how it took off. Like the proof is in the pudding. He has had so many things that he's created when it comes to wrestling and for others too, and it took off. And that's the kind of like percentage where it's like, hey, 80-90% of the time he's had success at everything he's put his mind to, everything he's created. And how many of us can say that that's like multiple projects that we've had that kind of success? So he's done a great job in all the stuff that he's done. Personally, like he's been great to me, but I can't say like 100% what we're all perfect. We all have
Yeah.
flaws, and maybe we do have moments where we rub people the wrong way or we're not that great in certain scenarios. We could that's just life and people. But when it comes to what he's done and says, I really think that it's an honor that he said that because of the respect that I have for him, the things he's created. And it is true. His creativity, his projects, everything that he's saying is for me is true and it's real. Sometimes
Mhm.
we hear things where it's like, oh man, that was harsh. Like it's a harsh thing that he said, but just listen to it and maybe take advice, apply it. Maybe not, but you will never know if what he's saying is true until you apply it. If it doesn't work the way he said it'll work, then discard it. But he sees something and he won't say that, tell people advice if he doesn't like you or see potential in you. He gives advice because he sees the potential and he sees that it could help you in some way. So even though it comes across harsh, like, oh my God, he said this about me, like, that jerk. He's saying it because he sees the potential and that you could be more. Just give it a try. So it's, we lived in a time, or I grew up in a time where there were people who praise you in a negative way. I don't think that 100% of the time that's effective, especially in this day and age. But back then, I could decipher who's being just a jerk just to say something mean and who's saying something because they're trying to give you advice. I could decipher that now, or at least kind of back then. Things will hurt, but you could tell the difference. I think when it comes to Cornette, he's just a brilliant person. Back then in OVW, I remember there was this time where I think I messed up. I don't know if I've told this story to you before, but if anybody hasn't heard this story, this is the way it went. So early in the OVW days, I'm still learning. I've never been a manager before, so I'm learning from everybody, doing all this stuff. I forgot what I did wrong, or maybe I didn't react. I don't know what specifically that it was, but I remember I went backstage and Cornette got like, he looked at me and he started screaming and he started saying all this stuff, and I was just, it's still like those emotions. I don't respond like, like, what's happening? Explain to me what it is that's upsetting you. He's like, what do you think? You're just standing there. Are you Vanna White? He's like, you're not like, is
That
that what we
sounds.
like? You're getting paid to like learn? And I'm like, what? Vanna White? What? He just didn't want me to stand there, and I can't even recall back then or now what specific episode it was. But believe you me, I wasn't gonna stand there like a Vanna White anymore. It's one of those things that it's kind of like, okay, was that the best option how to handle something? But believe you and me, regardless if it was the best option or not, I will never forget not to stand there and do nothing. No offense to Vanna White, gorgeous, did her job. She like, I praise her for all the things that she did for breaking ground, because honestly, sorry to go off on a tangent on Vanna White, but
No.
back in those days, you gotta like put your foot in the door no matter how it was. So respect to her, but I wasn't going to stand there. I was always going to react in some way. And it was a learning lesson. You got to change things up and think of, how can I, in this negative moment or in this moment that I'm like, "Ugh," how can I turn it into something that'll help me?
Mhm.
Not in how can I profit? How can I learn from this?
When it came to, let's just say coaching or criticism in OVW, let's just say, if it was harsh criticism, do you find that that type of motivation or criticism like helps you, or are you somebody that kind of operates better under, let's just say, like a more tame level of criticism? Like, for instance, with what Cornette said, did you feel like that pushed you to want to be better, or was it a little bit of a culture shock hearing that kind of stuff?
For it was definitely a culture shock. For the
Mm-hmm.
most part, I'm not a good with what military style training. I'm not good at that. I think that's why I don't think I would have been good in the military, because I don't like people yelling at me, and
Right.
I'm like, what? Like, instinctually there's that pushback, and I'm sure I would learn, but it'd be a long, long, long retraining to to be able to be okay with that. Even when I go for personal training, no, you're gonna yell. You're gonna say that to me? No, 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 don't you yell at me. But even though, like, I've learned, and I know people will be like, well, I've seen people yell at you and you stay so calm. Well, yeah, because I understand people's feelings and I take that into account. But I think back then, even Cornette, like Cornette, when Cornette did that, it sometimes, and maybe we don't like to admit it, when we were young, if we were little kids and our parents said, don't touch that, and we just listened to them, we're like, okay. Do we really understand what they say, don't touch that, until we get our hands smacked? Sometimes, when, like in certain instances, I'm not saying abuse, no,
Hmm.
but I was saying sometimes things need to shock us for a message
To
to
make it
get
across.
set. Yeah. And sometimes when that happens, you don't want it to happen again. So then you start thinking about things. We have to have moments like that in our lives to be able to realize when people speak and what they're saying and then absorb it. And
Hmm.
I don't want that to be the truth, but sometimes it is the truth.
Yeah.
Um, Cornette is a really great person, so don't think that his moment in time in that moment, like when he did that, is like that's the way he is all the time. I think I earned respect for the way I handled it and how I took what he said and I listened and didn't make the mistake and became better. I think
Hmm.
sometimes when people get frustrated and say something, what they want to see is not that like we just shook our heads and said, "Oh yeah, uh-huh," and we listened. They want to see that we listened, took the advice and got better from the advice.
Hmm.
And I really am thankful for that because I think I really did need to hear it in that tone in that time. But not everybody was like that. Not every occasion was like that. Thank goodness. I've seen some trainers and they act like that because they're just angry at everybody. But I think, say, like I hope I'm not doing bad with Bill DeMott mentioning his name, but he's a great person, at least to me. And he was tough on me. He wanted to see what I like. He wanted to see, do I want this? Will I learn? Will I adapt? And he made me stronger. And because of what like, say, the hard training, and I kept going in with heart, I kept going in wanting to learn more. He respected that. And that's where, we started having understanding. That's when he started opening up and like, okay, this person wants to learn. And he would start talking to me and teaching me.
Hmm.
It's difficult for some personality types to learn from that, but if you can decipher and understand how, like, those kind of personality types, you'll learn so much. And again, like, then when you start actually going out and applying it in matches, you'll realize, wow, man, my cardio is better. Damn, I know how to lift the damn bag and like walk around in the ring. Like, I'm a better base.
Hmm.
There's reasons for their methods, and it may not apply nowadays. Now it's different, but I think that sometimes if there's a middle ground balance to that kind of harsh old school, but then reinforcing positivity, if we could find a middle ground of that, I think we could have wrestlers who not only can endure, believe in themselves, have great experiences where it's not traumatizing, but also appreciate what they have in the moment. Because there's some people who just don't appreciate anything. They're just more, 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 what? And it's a disappointment at every door because they're in their minds need to be like superstar level that they don't know how to handle the ups and downs of wrestling.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you clearly took well to it, and that calm demeanor that you mentioned before, that kind of translates, I feel like, to present day for you because, as of late, for those that follow you, they know that you do a lot of online readings now and have kind of opened yourself up more to your audience and through messages like being Zen. So I want to ask you now, was this something that was always in you, or did you just kind of bring this out of you in recent years? That sort of Zen mentality and just sort of the way you carry yourself these days, and with sharing these messages online with your fans.
It's been a process. I feel like I was and wasn't as a child. Yeah, I would say baseline me was calm and happy. But then there will be moments that, especially as a child, like emotional, where it's like it's the sad was sad, and let's listen to sad music. Or angry is like was angry, and I just like knock stuff off of my dresser, and then something will break, and I think, oh my god, I just broke my thing. So it's kind of like I had to learn about my emotions, and oh gosh, I don't want that to happen again, and then to try to like just what was it? It was to learn to either ease the pain or calm the the when calm myself when I'm upset. These were things I needed to learn about myself and work on it. And thank goodness I did that during my teen years. And writing helped. That's why I'm. It's funny how now I'm reading the journals when I didn't realize. Oh my goodness, I could have been doing this for a couple of years now, like a lot sooner. I always wrote all the time, and that's how I managed my feelings. I managed my feelings when I got like emotional because I wrote it all down. I'd read it all back and I think, okay, where can I improve? Where would that was very over dramatic. Ooh, that was cringy. So as a teenager, it was just like really interesting to read my stuff back and understand myself. Then I watched a lot of like martial art movies. So and in those movies, they teach you, okay, you learn to fight these fighting skills, not to fight, but to protect yourself or to use it when it's needed. It's more about understanding yourself and your emotions and your athletic ability and the nature and all this stuff. It was to me it was beautiful. It wasn't just about fighting. So I loved martial art movies for that. And in my mind I thought I want to be like them. But I learned how to emotionally be like them in a sense. And I think it was a journey through wrestling with all this madness and crazy to try to keep trying to apply what I the kind of person I wanted to be. And it was
Hmm.
very challenging, believe me. Being Zen isn't like you just are it. You have to challenge yourself in these situations of people coming up to you and saying things. I was talking in my unwritten life. I was telling people that because it was part of my writing, nobody teaches you how to deal with a worldwide gaslighting. Like, this is so crazy where everybody's like, this is who you are. No, this is not who I am. You are this, that's you. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what? You're going crazy thinking, what the heck? Everybody's saying this. You know it's not true, but in their hearts, it's gotta be. It's in like what the dirt sheets, they're writing like articles about it. I'm like, what? But you have, I think, like in my mind, I had to teach myself how to and find ways and listen to other people, try to find my own way of dealing with this that doesn't resort to, something really negative. You see so many tragedies and, sometimes you think that's the only option to be like, that's the only route to take because this is so horrible. But there are options. There are other ways of handling situations and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Hmm. So, with that being said, do you feel like, because you mentioned about worldwide gaslighting, things being said, do you personally, within yourself, feel like you're misunderstood within like the wrestling world when people look back at your career?
Oh, definitely. But then at the same time, say like when you're a teenager, you feel like you're misunderstood because like people just don't get me or understand. Like it's kind of like this thing I think in life that we feel sometimes. And what I realized is, okay, well, why do I feel that way? Maybe back then, and a big chunk of during the WWE and after is because I never opened myself up for people to understand me and see me. And even when, say, they understand me and see me, if they don't like me, sometimes it's not because of me. Sometimes it's because some people are so in their struggles and chaos and hurt that they're gonna hate happy people. Like I've seen people hate me
Yeah.
because I smile too much, or you're nice, and what you're the problem in the world. I'm like, what? Because I'm nice. Oh, come here, come. I'm gonna give you a hug. And I get that not everybody understands, and that's okay. You got to go through what you need to go through. But it's I do feel at times for that maybe my personality, the way I experience the world, because not everybody experience the world with all these feelings. They're really good at just feeling only what this level, like these parts that they feel, and that's their understanding. And they were raised that way. People have different levels of how they see and experience the world, and I've paid attention to that, and I see that I'm in a different position of how I experience the world, and that's okay. If it feels like I'm lonely and not everybody understands, I embrace that. Damn, like I still am in a special spot. It seemed like it was a curse, but you know what? I I now appreciate and love this unique experience that I'm having that only a few people, maybe there's more, but it feels like it's only a few people, I'm going to appreciate it because I couldn't imagine not having this experience that I'm having of love and even all the like the misery and all this stuff. I wouldn't appreciate the things that I have without the pain that I felt, without the hurt that I felt. So I know that I appreciate everything that much more than I already do. But we are out there. If it wasn't for traveling, thank goodness for the internet, because if we didn't have this technology, we wouldn't be able to find the people that match our vibe and that understand us. They may be few, but they're out there, and you got to find those people or wait and they'll present themselves in the time you're supposed to find them. So keep going for
Hmm.
anybody else who's out there. And and it's not that I could only identify with just what these small percentage of people who are like me. No, everybody I find I can experience life and they get me and know me, even if it's just this section of my life. I appreciate each and every one of those people who at least take the time to understand and get me, even if it's this much of it.
Hmm.
I love them all and I appreciate them all and I love learning from them.
Well, that's why it's so great that you're, opening up, with the journals and just being so interactive with, your fans. You partake in a lot of, wrestling con events, and just all these meet and greets. And it's great because I feel like you have so many life experiences and stories, not only just within the wrestling business, but of your own. And honestly, it might be even therapeutic in a way for you to be able to express yourself and share these things that you haven't before because, you only have this life once. And, I feel like you, with your story and everything, it'd be a shame if, not everybody got to know some bits and pieces that were really special about it.
Aw, I hope so. That's what I want to do is share my life and my story because all the rumors and everything, I'm like, that's not me. Like, what? The biggest part that hurt me the most was just like, how does this affect my family? And because they're just like, okay, you do your thing. I was supposed to be a nurse, like a doctor, like I was a medical assistant. They didn't expect all this stuff. They would have people come to their store because my dad had a Latin music store, and they would
Hmm.
have people go to the store, see my picture on the wall, and then threaten my life. Like there was like I remember there was a kid who came with a screwdriver and said he wanted to stab me. A grown woman who said that she was gonna come in there and if I showed my face that she'd like f me up. And I was like, what? People are doing that? That's how people like they were so into the character. They were so angry at the character. And then with the rumors, I thought I don't want my family to hear this stuff. It's not they know me, but at the same time, it's like it's not their. I don't want them to have to stand up for me all the time. And my family stands up for they're like, no, you got to know the truth. If a person doesn't want to hear the truth and doesn't want to see the real story, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. So don't get involved. Like, please don't. You're just going to hurt yourself emotionally.
Was there ever a point in time where, let's just say, whether it be wrestling rumors or just any reaction from maybe fans, like you said at the store with your dad, like was there ever a point in time where it got like too real or too raw for maybe you or your family when dealing with that?
My family dealt with it really well, thank goodness. But I feel like of course, I took the brunt of it. And I think I preferred it that way, even though I don't ever wish to go through it
Yeah.
again. But I prefer it that it be on me than anybody else, especially now after the fact, because I know I could survive. But
Hmm.
back then, I don't know how I did so well in wrestling. Well, actually, I guess I do because the wrestling, that 5 to whatever many minutes of wrestling time or promo time or anything that I got to do on the show, that was my only moment of peace. And that's what I look forward to throughout all this crazy. Like, even if it was driving, at least like people, the rumors, this can't go on the internet, can't like everything was just always so like in my writings, I say it was walking on eggshells all the time. That it's just this horrible feeling that it's not that I dreaded it. I dreaded going and dreaded like these environments. But at the same time, that's where my peace is. So I have to go and do it. And so you just learn how to survive through it and just endure. And those are the kind of things where I think like, wow, I know I wish I could have been more social. I wish I could have understand that why people did what they did back then, but I didn't. All I knew is this isn't the way people treat each other. Like I'm an after school special, watching. I grew up on that stuff. So in my mind, I believed that people were better than this, that they didn't act like this, that we learned and we grow. I believe that as a child. So to see this environment, especially with my family, we talk things out, and even if we yelled at each other, we still listened to each other. So I couldn't understand this environment. And I get it. Like, I get how they responded to me. I don't fault them for it because, wow, I could only imagine. Like, you went through what you went through and not knowing my kind of personality type. I get it. But that was just brutal going through that.
Yeah.
Brutal.
It
I
it did seem. Oh no, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna ask, well, what did you originally ask? Because I went on a tangent.
Oh no, I was just asking if there was any point in time where anything got too real based
Oh,
off of the rumors and
oh yeah, it was
things.
it was that the crazy with my relationships and stuff like that. Like it was who how am I supposed to have a healthy relationship when everybody in the back is trying to fight with you, gaslight you, try to like cut you down, trying to get you fired, and then rumors and fans and family, like everybody from whatever they're experiencing and seeing from their perspective, not knowing what is real, they're all trying to say stuff, and it's just so overwhelming. Then the politics, then like people trying to screw you up in the ring and all of this stuff. It's just so much crazy that there were so many times where I don't know how I kept going, but really believe that I just kept thinking, I've gotten this far, I got to keep going, I've gotten this far, until one day I didn't want to keep going, and that was during my injury. I That was one moment. I There was other moments, but there was one definite moment I just didn't want to be around anymore. And that was the one where after not everything not working out the way I planned, thank goodness, uh it was this thing where like I can't even do that right. And why couldn't like I have like just this all end? And I realized it has to be a reason. There's got to be a reason, because why am I still here? So then it's that understanding of thank goodness that didn't happen, and what is that reason?
Hmm.
But I had to find that out after wrestling, because wrestling is just, it's we're not there to make friends. And they say that, and I think I wish they didn't say that, because maybe we'd all end up being friends. But the reality is, is this is a job, and we're here for the job. And so you have to find a balance, but at the same time, damn, it was very difficult that to not have like a family and that friendship when this is all the people we see every day. But oh, go ahead. You were gonna ask something.
No, I was just going to ask because the with you talking about this now and then in our original conversation, you were pretty candid and emotional, like when reflecting back on that exit for the first time and how it was kind of bittersweet. Like you didn't have to deal with this constant scrutiny anymore, but you were also exiting a chapter of your life that you really loved at the same time. So that kind of now poses my question: are you at peace now with how everything unfolded, like with your WWE career, or is there any part of
Yes.
you that feels, I don't want to say regret, but feels like almost like unwritten in a sense with how things ended?
Which is the name of my journal readings.
Oh, it's as
It's
if I pulled
Melina
it straight.
Unwritten.
As if I pulled it straight off Twitter.
And the thing is that I actually talked about that in my journal readings. I was saying how I didn't know it at the time that that was going to be so good for me. Like there's no hard feelings at all. Even when they let like the phone call, the actual phone call when it happened, I was at peace as soon as they said it. As soon as they
Hmm.
said creative has nothing for you. Well, the first part I thought, like the first second of it was okay, creative has nothing for me. Sure, Melina. And so it was like that. But then the next like little portion, it's funny how these feelings and thoughts happen within like a millisecond. And it was that and then a relief. Like weight felt like they were off my shoulders. And I felt good, like I get to breathe. I get to relax. Like, okay, I'm good. And they were kind of like in shock, like, really? You're okay? You're not gonna cry? Oh no, this is good. Because in my mind I thought people come back all the time, and even if I didn't, like, there's gonna be something. There's gonna be something. I know I'll figure out a way. And I always thought like they're gonna bring me back. And now I just think everything works out the way it's supposed to. I wasn't supposed to come back. I was supposed to travel and meet everybody everywhere, go back to the indies, not to wrestle and be like, hey, I'm here, I'm Melina, and have something to prove wrestling wise or for the character. I was meant to go travel to meet up and coming talent. And now from that, I see then the girls I worked with when they first started. They are now in the WWE or AEW or TNA or
New
NWA.
Japan. Yeah.
Yes, they are everywhere, and it's so beautiful to see. Like now, and then plus, as years go by, I want to meet more of these beautiful ladies who are so incredibly talented. It is so amazing to see that is my, I feel like that is the good part of everything I experienced of going through wrestling. I get to have that. If I was working every day for a company, I wouldn't get to have that, do my little projects and try to just be in the world and experience the world and help them and them help me. Like
Hmm.
I may seem like I have all the answers. I don't. I'm still learning. And through interacting with people, no matter what their age, skill set level, what their profession, every single person has something to teach you. And
Hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, you accomplished much more than most can say. I mean, you're a multi-time women's world champion. You know, you actually most credit you for an era in which women's wrestling wasn't really getting, the actual like, in-ring aspect of things. We weren't really getting much of that exposure. It was a lot of that era was relegated to, they were even called divas, at one point in time.
But I
It
love
was,
that name. It made me feel like a pop singer or something.
yeah, but that's the thing. It was focused on the showman aspect of things and not necessarily the wrestling aspect. However, you did have multiple, opponents and matches that really stood out in an era in which we weren't really getting that. It was like 3 to 5 minute matches, but you and your matches against the likes of Michelle McCool, Beth Phoenix really stood out in that era. And that's why a lot of fans these days, when talking about, the recognition for some of the women, your name is one that comes up with the fans. And a lot of them always wonder when it pertains to like on screen with WWE now, they're always wondering like, when's Melina gonna get her flowers? Is Melina gonna go into the Hall of Fame one day? What is like your perspective on that? Like when it pertains to you, with like WWE's recognition, like do you feel like you would like to see more of that recognition towards you on
I-
screen, or are you fine with that?
I'm so fine. Like
You're good.
I don't need it. Like honestly, I don't need it. I always tell people it's kind of like things that become a cult classic. Those are the ones that are like not spoken of as much, and you think, why don't people talk about this movie that much? It's so amazing. And then the more people watch it, the more people love it, and then it becomes bigger than what it was when it first came out. I feel like I kind of see myself in that kind of realm of it's okay. You don't have to, I didn't have to have all the recognition then or even now with them. It's
Mhm.
okay
Yeah.
because I see the fans and I see what the fans see, and I thank them for that. That's
Hmm.
all that matters. How it touched that character touched their heart. That's all that matters. It really, from what I've seen backstage, and I'm not saying that this is like they're horrible people and da 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 da. Everybody's doing what they're either taught to do, the way the environment is. Again, it's a business, so maybe because the things I've seen is they're going to put people who are draw more attention right now, and it's not to say I won't draw attention. It's just that we're going to have to do whatever is marketing that's in the mainstream right now.
Right.
So I get and understand that kind of business, but I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. If it whenever it happens, it happens. And honestly, if it doesn't, because I've thought about the people I've looked up to, my role models and my favorite characters, and I've seen them pass away and never get recognition while they were alive. And I think that's what I do in stories, when I hear music, when I hear anything, movies. I think if that were to happen to me, what would I feel? What would I know? I always like put myself in their shoes. And I think if that happens to me, it's okay. It's
Hmm.
okay because I know how the fans that I talk to, how they see the character and her work or my hard work, and they see my talent or what I put into it. I'm thankful for that. I am grateful that I'm able to see that because if you think of China, she wasn't able, because of what she was going through, everything she's experienced. I hope she was able to see all the beauty of how much the fans loved her. I think she did see that, but I think she didn't let her heart see it for herself. I don't think she let herself see that within herself, her own view.
Hmm.
And I keep thinking I wish she would have seen what we all saw so that she'd still be here with us.
Hmm.
And I keep thinking of people like that where, God, I'm so grateful that I can see, because it's difficult to not get recognition. There's wrestlers out there who never even were able to get that spot. And it's not because they weren't good enough. It wasn't because they didn't have a look or didn't have the talent. It was all politics. So we need to see what reality is. And it's not because they're not good. It's not because they don't fit something that's happening right now. There's so much talent. Sometimes it's just a matter of what is happening now, and people just get lucky to get a spot, or it fits a storyline that needs to be told right now. So it's okay if I don't get like any kind of recognition. I know, I'm
Listen,
secure.
I think there's a time and a place, and I feel like in your case, it's one of those situations of when, not if. As far as like, let's just say the Hall of Fame, for example, right? Like, I think that there's a universe that exists where we're talking about Melina being a Hall of Famer, but it's good that at least in your mind and heart, you've already kind of compartmentalized your own emotions to where even if we're not talking about that, you're in a good place where you're happy with how things turned out, and you know that the fans know that what you've provided and what you were able to accomplish and how good you were. So that's really all that matters.
Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
there'll be a moment, say if there is, say if it isn't after I pass away. But it's when it happens, it'll be beautiful and I know it, just like the Royal Rumble, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah.
That's a moment I will carry with me forever. Forever.
Was there ever any talks? Because now I think this is a relevant topic because there was in 2018 there was an Evolution, a women's Evolution pay per view. Now it just got announced a week ago that the second one will be taking place this upcoming summer. Was there ever any talks for you to have a match at that first Evolution? No,
No.
because I remember there were tons of rumors at the time that you and Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Moné and AEW, were going to have like a program, and then we saw in the Royal Rumble you two started it off and the one that you appeared in. So everybody
Yeah.
thought that there was going to be something between you two.
It's so funny because see, that's another one where there's more rumors that weren't real, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not bad. Those one weren't bad, but it goes to show that good or bad, you don't even know what to believe. That wasn't a real one. You getting Legends contract wasn't a real one. Like
Yeah.
there's so many ones. There's so many that aren't real that I think, wow, that's another one. I didn't hear. I didn't hear that rumor, but that's another one that adds to the list that wasn't true.
Well, I do want to hear some. Let's talk about some real stories now. I want to know how MNM first came to be? Like, what was the origin story behind MNM when it was first presented to you?
Wow. Eminem. It all. I think I talked about this in the last one where Jacqueline and oh, why am I brain farting?
Jazz?
Jazz. Sorry, you guys. My brain's like.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
think it's the ring lights that make me like
Yeah,
tired.
I've got one on me right now. It's beaming in my.
Oh my goodness, this seriously, like that's what happens. Even when I live stream all of it, it's like, I'm sorry guys, I gotta go now.
Yeah.
But it was Jazz and Jacqueline who they were the ones who vouched for me of being a heel. And nobody wanted me to be a heel ever. It's like, you're so baby face. You're like, you're nope, you can never be heel. That when they said that, that's when they started thinking, like, okay, we're gonna put Melina with John, but we need to do something else. Like they're the ones who came up with it where it's like, we're gonna put Joey with you. And I'm like, who's Joey? Oh, Joey. And then I saw Joey and I was like, okay. And then I'd watched him and then watched the way John was because he had his own look and gimmick for like after Tough Enough.
Hmm.
And everybody kept calling me the model girl. Because before the Diva Surge, like right
Hmm.
before, and then Diva Surge was going to happen. Um, I was the model girl, LA girl. Hey, LA girl. Hey, Hollywood. Like all these things that they called me and John. So we all sat together and we were like, okay, this is the way they see you. Perception is reality. So let's roll with it. And that's where okay, then we all looked at each other like, yeah, okay, this is good. This is what we're going to do. John came with his fur coats and he's like, how about this? I got this in Melrose. And we're like, yeah, do that. Okay, what else can we do? And then Joey came up with the paparazzi, and that's what we started like. Okay, let's throw in the red carpet, and then we just started growing and growing from there. The brainstorming, and damn, did it hit?
It really did. It was funny because every time I heard Eminem, my mind automatically. When I saw you guys, it made me think of the candy, and when I see the candy M&Ms, I think of you guys. So it's funny how my mind works. But
I get people who say when they think of like the rapper Eminem, they're like they think of
that's
Eminem.
yeah, yeah, a lot of Eminem going on.
I was like, thanks. I think.
So since at that point in time, you were wrestling, but also a valet. I remember the most infamous moment, probably when it pertains to Joey in particular, was the injury that he sustained. You weren't. You would have been in Gorilla for that or backstage, right? I don't think you were at ringside when that took place.
That
No,
was
probably.
funny. They
Yeah.
told me that I wasn't allowed to be out there, so I escorted them till about top of the red carpet, maybe a little bit further. But oh baby, oh he's
Oh,
back
there we
again.
go. Yeah. Nice cameo appearance.
Oh Cheeto. Everyone goes, he's so big now. Yes, he is.
We
He used
needed
to be a
his
little.
we needed his presence for a tough discussion.
I know, thank you. My emotional support.
Yeah.
So what happened was they didn't let me go all the way down because they told me that it's too dangerous. I'm like, really, it's too. This is wrestling. Like, I know how dangerous it could be. I'm good. I'm fast. I could get out of the way. Like that's what I was thinking in my head, and so I was so upset. So they just said, okay, just stay here in Gorilla. Okay, like they're just. We're doing it for your own protection because we care about you as our talent and we don't want anything to happen to you because we want you to be in other shows. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I was so upset. And so I just sat there and watched. And when it happened to Joey, I thought, oh my goodness, he's the safe and cautious one. The crazy one's still out there, like he's gonna get hurt. And so when the and then Joey like looked at the camera and showed all the blood, and I'm like, like it's just horrible. Like, you could
Yeah.
see how crushed it was. And then when they put him on a stretcher and took him out, like I followed them taking him to the ambulance, and they were taking him away, and that was even m- more real. It was more real that, oh my God, this is happening. This is bad. This isn't like something you just take him to the trainer and they patch him up.
Hmm.
This is serious. And it was so horrible. Oh my goodness. And but
That's
let me
one of the
remind you,
worst. Yeah, go ahead.
I was a manager, not a valet.
Manager. My fault.
Nah, not that
Gotta
they're both are good because I encourage everybody like do your thing. Like it's all everything serves a purpose. Like this adds to the beauty and magic of wrestling. Everybody has a part, and it's amazing. That's why I love wrestling so much. But I feel like managers have more of a like a responsibility. It's more intricate. It's like you have to
Mhm.
know more things. Not that valets don't, but the way I was explained is that valets just walk out and
Okay.
that's it. And that's it.
Yeah. So you were much more of a manager. You had to put me in check there. I gotta take responsibility for it.
I actually, after I said, I was like, that's really like shitty to say, Melina. Like that makes it sound bad, doesn't it?
Oh no.
I'm
Just a
sorry,
misunderstanding.
everybody. I love everybody. I swear. It's just that's what I had to tell myself, and that's what people had to tell me because I
Mhm.
thought it was a terrible thing to be a manager or a valet. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm a wrestler. I came here to wrestle.
Yeah.
And I had to get humbled by realizing there's so much more to being a manager
Hmm.
and a valet. Like it's not easy. You have to know your timing on everything, how to help the match, and know everybody's moves, not just yours.
Hmm.
Have to help the ref. Like make sure you add to the crowd in the match, and know when not to take away from it. There was so much to it.
Yeah. You're adding to the performance by being a
Yeah.
manager because you're also playing off the crowd equally and reacting to the match while it's happening. So
And
you're
you have to direct it back to the ring because it's not the you show. We got to make sure everybody sees that, what we're
yes.
here for.
Hmm. Well, speaking of what we're here for, I want you to kind of talk to me a little bit about your recent trip to Tokyo. Um,
And it was Korea.
Korea.
It was
Korea.
Seoul.
Gosh.
That
Yeah.
it was
Ta-
so much fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's another thing too. When it comes to traveling, whenever you were like the champ at the time, and you had to go through customs with the title, did you ever run into any like issues, or did they say like, oh, what champion are you? You're from the UFC, or
no, actually, they really didn't. They like there were a few moments, not a lot, but there was a few moments where it's like, is this real? Is this real? Because I think because they saw they're like, oh, she's little. Is that real? Yes,
yeah,
that's mine. Uh, but usually it's always like a good it's a funny like a funny moment because the reaction that they would have is okay, we got to see what's in here. And then they're like all tough as if I have like a gun or something. And then they open it up and they're like, whoa. And then they have to hold it and look at it. And then they're like, their face brightens up and they ask questions. So it's
yeah,
always, I feel like it was always good to see like what their reactions. So I loved it.
yeah.
Knock on wood.
It's like a Star Wars fan feeling like a real lifesaver. That's kind of
Yeah.
what.
Guys, whoa. That was a good comparison. It's so true.
Yeah. Well, it was tremendous catching up with you again, and this was a ton of fun. And I gotta say, next time, whenever you're doing like a meet and greet or whatever the case may be out in the New York, New Jersey area, I might have to come and stop by because
Yes.
yes.
I'm planning on doing Melina Unwritten Live. Like I'm
Hmm.
planning a tour this year, so I'm mostly
Okay.
going to do that. So I want to plan all over the country and New York will be on the list. So I'll
There
tell you
you
about
go.
it.
All right. Well, take care and thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye bye.